the Boston Tea Party spark of the American Revolution. On a cold December evening in 1773, an event took place in Boston Harbor that became one of the sparks igniting the flames of the American Revolution. This event went down in history as the Boston Tea Party. Background: taxes and discontent. In the 18th century, the British Empire sought to control its American colonies and extract profits from them. Various taxes and acts were introduced to this end, provoking the colonists. One of the most despised was the Tea Act of 1773, which granted the British East India Company a monopoly on tea sales in the colonies. This law allowed the company to sell tea at reduced prices, but included a tax that the colonists had to pay. Colonists saw this law as an injustice and a British attempt to undermine their economic freedom. Local merchants, whose profits were reduced due to the monopoly, and ordinary residents, who did not want to pay taxes without representation in the British Parliament, united in resistance. The spark of protest. On December 16, 1773, a group of men known as the Sons of Liberty organized a protest against the arrival of British ships with tea. Disguised as Native Americans, they secretly boarded 3 British vessels, the Dartmouth, Eleanor, and Beaver, anchored in Boston Harbor. These men, including the famous Samuel Adams, understood the importance of a symbolic action. The night that changed history. Under the cover of night, the protesters began to throw crates of tea into the water. A total of 342 crates of tea, equivalent to millions of dollars today, were dumped. This act was quiet but powerful, representing an open challenge to British rule. Consequences: the path to independence. The British response was swift. In 1774, they passed the so-called Intolerable Acts aimed at punishing the colonies, particularly Massachusetts. These acts included closing Boston Harbor until the destroyed tea was paid for, causing economic hardships for the city. The colonists saw these measures as the final proof of the British government's tyranny. These events pushed them towards the idea of complete independence. In 1775, the War of Independence began, and just a year later, on July 4, 1776, the Declaration of Independence was signed. The Boston Tea Party became a symbol of resistance and freedom, an example of how the decisive actions of a small group of people can change the course of history. This event reminds us of the importance of fighting for our rights and freedoms, of finding a path to a brighter future, even in the darkest times.